Okay then, boxing fans. Today, we've got a special treat for you. And we're going to go through our top 10, pound for pound. And there's no right or wrong answer to this. Because, well, there is a wrong answer to this. There's no right answer to this. And we'll go through some of the wrong answers, I guess, in this video. So, starting off with our number 10s. Chris, you can go first, mate. Who is your number 10 pick, pound for pound?
I've got Adrian Broner at number 10.
Adrian Broner, number 10.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to tell us why? You've got 30 seconds to defend your pick.
I know his record's limited and all that, but I don't think he's being dodged. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think a lot of people dislike him because he talks shit. I think he hasn't got any option but to move up in weight. He's a big guy. He's going to have to move up in weight. I don't think he's dodging. I think he's being dodged.
Okay. That's very good. And we'll come back to that at the end of the round. Armando, who's yours?
My number 10 pick, it wasn't a pick that I felt was... It wasn't a pick that I felt I was secure in. You guys are probably going to crucify me, but my number 10 pick, it was a struggle, but I shoot him in. Devin Alexander.
Devin
was my number 10.
You've got 30
Devin
seconds.
Alexander.
You've got 30
Devin
seconds.
Alexander, based on the opponents he's faced in the past, he's faced Durango, he's faced Kotelnik, he's faced Maidana, Bradley. Who else has he faced? So he has a decent resume compared to a lot of the other fighters out there. So he's faced some decent opposition, and yeah, he's got the loss to Bradley, and obviously he beat what's his face for the title. So just based on resume, I think his resume is pretty solid. He may not be an exciting fighter, but he has beat some pretty good solid opposition. That's why I put him at number 10.
Okay, James, do you want to tell me your number 10?
Yeah, number 10 for me was Roman Gonzalez.
Roman Gonzalez, you've got 30 seconds to tell me why.
Well, you know, he's won world titles in minimum weight, junior flyweight, and he's just gone through the competition very, very easily, sort of stepped it up gradually, and he's just going through fighters, but he's not. His record suggests that, you know, he's just a knockout artist, just a big puncher and nothing else. But the fights that I've seen him in, he's got a bit of everything. He can box on the back foot, he can box on the front foot. He's got good movement. He's got good defense.
He has got good power.
He's got very, very good power, devastating power. Not sort of, you know, somebody like Gennady Golovkin power, but, you know, he does have the ability to finish guys very quickly, and I'm really excited about him. I just hope he can get some big fights, because they wanted to put him in with Ioka, who's the WBA junior. He's like the WBA regular champion at light flyweight, but Ioka, because he's a big name in Japan, they sort of, his handlers said they didn't want to put him in because they didn't think he was experienced enough to face a guy like Gonzalez. So I think he's going up in weight again to flyweight, I think.
Yep.
So I mean, if he becomes a 3-weight world champion, he's going up and up my list as long as he keeps the competition high.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it to 30 seconds, guys, as well. Paul,
Okay.
What's your number 10?
Carl Froch.
Carl Froch. You want to tell us why?
Carl Froch, in my opinion, has got one of the best resumes in the sport in terms of opponents he's fought back to back. He's not ducked anybody, always in an entertaining fight, and he's won the majority of his big fights as well. Okay, he's had a couple of losses. He had a loss to Andre Ward, and he looked quite bad against Andre Ward, but finally somebody who doesn't look bad against Andre Ward.
True.
To be honest, losing to Andre Ward is the biggest humiliation in the world, and he lost by a hair's breadth to Raquel Kessler in Denmark in a fight that could have gone either way. He's not got an appalling record, and he's got an absolutely great record in my opinion.
Okay.
And, yeah, that's it basically.
That's it, yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, mine, we're going to try and keep to 30 seconds each person. However, mine is Manny Pacquiao, number 10. Manny Pacquiao. You know, his next fight's a sink or swim fight against Rios. He's definitely on the slide, Pacquiao. But like I said, he still makes my top 10 pound for pound, because he's still better than the majority of opponents who are available. To be honest, he is, right? he's also, you got to give him credit for his career. He made a lot of, he's done a lot of weights, a lot of world titles. But the only thing is, he has ducked a few people. He has slipped and slided around, and this is it now for him. If he wins this fight, he could make a resurgence up the pound for pound rankings when we next do one of these. But we'll have to wait and see. So let's talk about who's got the better pick for number 10. Who agrees? And this is a show of votes that Adrian Broner should be number 10.
Not me.
No me.
Not me.
Okay. Unlucky Chris. James, what do you reckon? Adrian Broner number 10?
Definitely not.
Okay. Well, what about Manny Pacquiao number 10? Armando?
Should he be in the top? Should he
No,
be
no,
at
should
number
he, should he-
10?
Yeah, number 10. No, should he be number 10? Yes or no? Just a simple yes or no, mate.
No.
You think he should be higher?
Yeah, he should be higher than that.
Okay. Chris, what do you think? What do you reckon? Manny Pacquiao number 10?
No, but just slightly higher.
Okay. James, what do you reckon?
Slightly higher.
Paul?
No, he should be a bit higher than that. I agree he's on the slide, but a bit higher than that.
Okay, what do you reckon about Roman Gonzalez? Chris?
Yeah, I nearly put him at number 10 myself, so I've got to say, yeah, I put Broner there because, I mean, he has got a couple of good wins, Broner. He beat DeMarco, I thought that was a good enough performance, but yeah, I think 10's alright for Gonzalez.
Okay. Armando?
Yeah, same here. He's
James,
fine.
James obviously thinks that's right. Paul?
I'm going to admit I don't know an awful lot about Gonzalez, so I couldn't
Okay.
say either way, so I'll abstain.
I can accept number 10, but I think he should be slightly higher, personally. And we'll go into that later. So, number 9 now, guys. Chris, do you want to
What about Devin?
Oh,
Carl
shit. Shit, yeah, sorry, guys.
It's
Devin.
okay.
Let's talk about Devin. Chris, what do you reckon about Devin?
No, he don't get anywhere near on my list.
No mine, mate. James?
I don't understand how you could have him in the list, to be honest.
Paul?
I could maybe put him in the top 15, but not the top 10.
Sorry, Armando, mate.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
Carl Froch, Chris.
No, he should definitely be higher, Carl Froch.
Armando.
Higher.
James.
Higher.
Higher. Yeah, I say higher too. So, he's in the top 10, Paul. Just not
Fair
that
enough.
spec. Okay, number 9. Okay, this is number 9 now. Chris, who's your number 9, mate?
I've got Manny Pacquiao at number 9. I know the guy's on the slide, but I mean, if you look at his record, he's fought decent opponents pretty much throughout his career. They might have been at wrong weights and so on. I mean, if he beat Bradley, who was quite a big prospect, he robbed in that fight, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at his history, he deserves to be in top 10. He's definitely on the slide, and I don't think Rios is a bad fight either.
Yeah. Okay, Armando, who's your number 9?
Carl Froch. And was it Paul that you picked him as 10?
Mhm.
Okay, pretty much what Paul said. I mean, he's pretty much fought everybody that's anybody at 168. Yeah, he's got 2 losses, the highly contested Mikkel Kessler and obviously the Ward fight. So yeah, I give Carl Froch my number 9 slot for
Okay.
pound for pound.
James?
Pacquiao.
Pacquiao. Okay. Do you want to justify it, or are you happy just to leave it as Pacquiao?
No, I'm happy just to leave it at that.
Paul?
Sorry,
Number 9.
Oh, number 9, sorry, yeah. Tim Bradley.
Tim Bradley. Okay, yeah, so mine is... No. Justify it.
Okay. Tim Bradley, in my opinion, he's a very, very good fighter. As we know, he's definitely making a name for himself. He's won some world titles. He's had some good fights against good opponents. Okay, there's a couple of opponents who he's not fought who we'd like to see him fight. But in my opinion, he's not done an awful lot wrong in his career. I know he got lucky against Pacquiao, but I don't think the Pacquiao fight. I think because of the Pacquiao fight, a lot of people underrate him. Okay, he shouldn't have won against Pacquiao, but he wasn't embarrassed against Pacquiao. He did quite well against Pacquiao, even if he didn't deserve to win.
Okay. Yeah. And then mine, I'll go into mine, then we'll go round again, is actually Nonito Donaire. I've got him above Manny Pacquiao, yes. You know, the reasoning between this is, right, you know, he's just lost the fight, I know, and he would have been hired if he didn't, right? He still fought the who's who of the lower weights, got a lot of world titles in a lot of different divisions, and I don't think he should be totally binned because he just lost a very hard fight that most of the die-hard boxing fans wanted to see. I actually think that he should get a bit of credit for still taking such a hard fight that a lot of guys would have ducked, i.e. Pacquiao, Mayweather style, okay? So that's the reason I've got him there. I still think he can go on, win another world title at another weight, and still be in big fights. So that's why I've got him at number 9. So now we're going to go through. Chris, who did you pick again, pal?
I picked Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao. Does everyone agree Manny Pacquiao should be around number 9? Armando?
Higher.
Higher? James? You said Manny Pacquiao too.
I said Pacquiao at 9 because I just think, as much as he's been a phenomenon in the sport in years gone by, there's no doubt he's on the slide. You know, he lost to Marquez the 3rd time. He definitely lost the 4th time. And I just don't see how he's going to get to anywhere near his old self.
Okay. Yeah. Paul, what did you say? For number 9, Pacquiao?
No.
You said Bradley. What do you think about Manny Pacquiao being number 9?
I think he should be a bit higher.
Bit high. Okay. No. Who was next? Armando. Who did you say? Pacquiao.
Pacquiao for number 9. I think he's a little bit higher.
Okay.
Higher than that.
Yeah. James said. Who did James say? Pacquiao. Yeah. And Paul, you said Tim Bradley. Chris, what do you think about Tim Bradley? Higher or lower?
I think he should be lower.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put him. He's not in my top 10, so I mean, I don't think he's enough to justify being there. His biggest fights with Pacquiao, and he lost that fight.
Okay, Armando, what do you think about Tim Bradley?
Tim Bradley at number 9.
Yep.
A little bit higher. Not much, but a little bit higher.
Ooh, okay. James, what do you think about Tim Bradley, number 9?
No, I mean I can understand why he'd be at number 9. I think he's done well in the light welterweight division, and he's come into the welterweight division, and he got a gift decision against Pacquiao, obviously. But no, I mean I think he's a massively underrated boxer. I'm not sure if he deserves to be, in the top 10 pound for pound list at the moment off the back of his last performance. Even though I think he did come into that fight to prove a point. I think there's a lot of good fighters out there, so maybe he's slightly lucky to be at number 9, but
yeah. Okay. Paul obviously said it, so I'll give my piece on it. Basically, I don't agree with it. I don't think he should even be in the top 10, just based on the fact that he's never cleaned out a division. He's always been disputed in the division that he's in. I think that if you want to be pound for pound, you should have at least made a solid attempt to clean out your division. Obviously he lost to Pacquiao. He didn't get it, so I can't credit it for him. He obviously he didn't do a great job against Provodnikov, and his fight before that, before Pacquiao, was against Casamayor, who shot to bits. So his resume, I don't really rate it as highly as other people, and to be honest, I don't rate him that highly, so I haven't put him in my top 10. But what do you guys think of Nonito Donaire number 9? Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm being a little bit harsh leaving him out of the top 10, to be fair. He probably did, just on his loss to Rigondeaux, I thought his problem solving in that fight was poor. He looked a little bit one-dimensional in that fight as well. He kept circling round and round and round. I mean, I just thought he looked a little bit exposed against a proper, genuine mover.
Yeah. Armando, what do you think about
Donaire at 9? I think a little bit higher. That was a devastating loss, but I think he'll bounce back. Rio's just a very defensive-minded guy, and just very difficult to fight, based because he doesn't give you much. So that's why he.
Yeah. Well, I just want to pull you up on it. It wasn't a devastating loss. He lost the decision, and it was quite a close decision really on the scorecards. Okay. James, what do you think about Nonito number 9?
I think he deserves to be a little bit higher. I mean,
maybe, yeah.
He got beaten by a supremely talented guy in Rigondeaux, who's a pound for pounder himself in my eyes. And when you look at what he did the previous year, he fought I think 4 times, was it?
Yep. All against world champions.
All against world champions. And obviously in years gone by, he's shown what he can do. But I think at the same time, fighting against somebody like Rigondeaux, even though I do highly rate Rigondeaux, I think he did, as Chris said, look extremely one-dimensional.
True.
But I think one fight, one bad performance isn't enough to sort of, start cascading him with negatives.
Yeah,
So
kicking him out the rankings. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to see how he bounces back, and also the opposition who he faces in the future.
Yeah. Paul, what were your thoughts on my pick for Nonito?
To be honest, I'll have to again say what I said about Gonzalez. I haven't seen an awful lot of Donaire because I don't watch a lot of the lower weights, so it wouldn't be fair for me to slate him or praise him.
Okie doke. Next is number 8 then.
Okay.
So who is your number 8 then, Chris?
I say this for a really heavy heart. Gennady Golovkin.
Okay.
In my opinion, I would have him much higher, but his possible opponents, just have they don't want to fight him. They don't ever talk about fighting him. I mean, he could have fought Daniel Geale, who decided to move. He moved into a different fight completely. He left his title behind. I would have him higher. I'd love him to be higher, but I can't justify him being any higher.
Yeah, I can understand that. Armando?
Again, I picked them, but it's kind of contradictory to my number 9 pick, which is Froch. I have Timothy Bradley as number 8. Reason why is because to his past, he fought Lamont at the time being, was a good win. For whatever it's worth, it was a crappy, ugly fight. He beat Devin. He beat Luis Carlos Abregu, and I think he fought Kendall Holt too. I think, and he took Kendall Holt's undefeated record when the guys were coming up. So I kind of struggle between him and Froch, 9 and 10. But the thing is Froch lost to two of the best at that division. The top 3. Him, Froch, Kessler, and Ward. So that kind of set him back a little bit. So that's why I kind of give Bradley a little bit of heads up above Froch. So that's my 8 pick.
Okay. James?
Number 8.
Yep.
Yeah, Vladimir Klitschko.
Ooh. Klitschko. Go on, Zutel. I want to hear why.
Well, I know a lot of people are going to have him. Well, I don't know, but I guess a lot of people are going to have him maybe number 4, number 5. That's where you often see him in pound for pound ranking list. But for me, he's one of the rulers at heavyweight, but he's not cleaned out the division because I don't blame him necessarily for not fighting his brother. I don't think you're ever gonna see many brothers fighting each other in a sport as brutal as boxing. But he hasn't been able to clear out the division. But also his best win is against David Haye.
Yeah.
And he didn't dispatch of him in the manner you would expect somebody who he didn't dispatch of David Haye in a way that makes me think he should be higher in the list, basically.
Okay.
And obviously, in times gone by, he's been proven to be extremely vulnerable in the chin department. I think a lot of the reason why he's dominant is purely about his size.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So.
No problem. Paul, do you want to tell us your number 8?
Sergio Martinez.
Sergio Martinez. Maravilla. So go on, do tell why.
Before the Murray fight, I'd have put Sergio Martinez higher, but after that fight, he's slipped down a little bit in my estimation because I felt he lost against Martin Murray convincingly.
Yeah. And
he's definitely in decline. But before that, he's got some good wins before that. You've got to remember.
Okay.
Beat Macklin, knocked Macklin out. Something Felix Stern couldn't do.
Yep.
Beat Darren Barker, who I think is a very, very good, underrated, skillful fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Beat Chavez Jr. Okay, he got knocked down, but he absolutely schooled Chavez Jr. For the 11 and a half rounds before that.
Yeah.
Martinez, he's a very, very good fighter, but he's still in my top 10, but just
Okay, no problem. Well, for me, I've put down Roman Gonzalez here. You see, I actually really rate Roman Gonzalez. I can't lie. I really rate this kid. Right, only 25 years old with a record of 34 wins, undefeated, 28 of which by way of knockout. Already a two-weight world champion at minimum weight and light flyweight. Cleaned out both divisions to the point where other people have clearly ducked him. Yeah. He even holds a win over the number one flyweight now. Right, and trying to get a rematch with him because he's coming off a very, very good win in Macau. So, you know, he's just running through opposition, and I can see him doing it even more as he rises through, you know, maybe the next weight limit, and he's going to go up and up on my pound for pound list, guys. I'm not even going to lie to you. So,
Is that Estrada who he wants the rematch with?
Yeah, he wants Estrada now, yeah, because Estrada came off a good win with
Brian Valoria.
Yeah, Valoria, and I think he actually went a distance with Roman Gonzalez, which is quite a good feat for the lad, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I think it is. So, okay, Chris, you picked Golovkin. Armando, what do you think about Golovkin?
No.
No, higher, lower?
He's not in top 10 yet.
Not in top 10 yet.
No.
James.
I think he will in time, but I think he's fought nobody, so even though he looks like a killer, we won't know until he fights somebody. But then on the flip side, like Chris said, he is getting dodged, there's no doubt about it, but you can't put somebody in on a guess of how good he's going to be. He's got to prove it.
Yeah, good point. Paul, what do you reckon?
Exactly the same. Golovkin, he looks absolutely great, and no one wants to fight him. But until somebody mans up and fights something, you can't really say that he can put him in the top 10. He's got to beat someone first.
I do agree that he will be on the top 10 soon, Chris.
Yeah.
The thing is, you know, the thing is, his opposition isn't brilliant that he's been facing. Even though he's a world champion, he's not cleaned out a division yet. Just stuff like that is against him. But I would say within the year, he'll have broke the top 10, guarantee. Moving on. Okay, no, we're not moving on. Armando, who did you say again?
Bradley.
Bradley, number 8, guys. Paul, Chris.
Yeah, I just don't like him. I just don't like him at all.
Paul, James. Number 8, Bradley.
I can see why Bradley does get into pound for pound lists, but for me, if he's going to get in there, he should be, you know, 10, 9 at best.
The real bitch end, yeah.
I think 8 is getting generous when you look at the fighters that are out there.
He's not cleaned out a division, and he's not really won a standout fight.
His biggest win wasn't a win.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hard to put him in. Paul?
I can see why he goes to number 8, because I know you guys don't like him, but I think Bradley's a very, very underrated fighter. I think because his style's ugly, because he doesn't attract any fans, I think a lot of people don't like him. It's easy to not like Bradley, sort of thing. But I think he's a very, very good fighter, and he'd be my top 10. Okay,
no problem. What about for number 8 though?
Number 8.
Higher or lower?
I've got him at number 9. I'd have him slightly lower, but I can see why some people put him at number 8.
Okay.
Could I just say as well? I mean, I do rate Bradley. I just think, you know, he's probably between the 10 and 15 in pound for pound for me. Just not top 10. Yeah. I do like him. I'm not one of these people who sort of say, oh well, he robbed Pacquiao, therefore, you know, I'm gonna.
It wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault.
Vilify him at any opportunity. I mean, look, the Pacquiao win has damaged his career.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's no reason to hold anything against Bradley because he got that win. It wasn't his fault. He didn't ask for it.
Yeah. There's people in his division before fighting Pacquiao.
Who did you pick, James, for number 8?
I picked
Vladimir
Klitschko.
You picked Klitschko. What does everyone think about that? Chris, higher or lower?
Nowhere near. Absolutely lower.
Lower?
Yeah. Not even in the top 10 for me.
Oh.
He doesn't fight a good enough opposition.
Okay. Armando.
I hate to agree with Chris, man. I mean,
you hate it? Why? He's not done that to you, mate.
well, no. I think Vladimir is a very dedicated physical specimen, but he just isn't finding he's not in my top 10.
Okay.
As sad as that sounds, I hate to do that to him. He hasn't in the past couple of years fought anybody that will elevate him, in my opinion, to top 10. So,
James?
Well, he picked Vladimir,
James,
so...
you picked Vladimir, so you're
Yeah,
gonna
exactly.
say,
Yeah. So, Paul?
Paul.
Higher. If I'm in higher.
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, oh sorry, I was speaking. I thought I'm higher than that.
Higher than that, okay.
Higher? Okay.
Okie doke. Yeah, I would say higher. Quite high, a lot higher probably. But, okay. We'll move on to number 7. Yeah?
Yep.
Who is your number 7, Chris?
I've got Saul Alvarez at number 7.
Saul, ho.
His victory over Austrian Trout, that decided it for me. His record's scratchy, to say the least, before that. But the hype surrounding the guy, there was so much pressure on him, and for me, he passed with flying colours. He will definitely rise in my pound-for-pound list, there is no question.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. The only thing I've got to question is if he deserves to be there now, but we'll see later. Armando?
I have Pacquiao at number 7. Pacquiao's Pacquiao. He's fought a lot of really solid fighters.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I actually had him at number 5 until he lost to Marquez.
Yeah.
So he got knocked back too. But I mean, the guy's fought just as much as he could fight. Entertaining. There's still the Floyd crap. So. But yeah, he's my number 7 pick.
Okay. James?
Nonito Donaire.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was really a massive fan of Donaire's. I like the way he's gone sort of 365 days testing, so he's a clean fighter. I like the fact that he fought regularly last year. He's got ridiculously fast hands. He's got devastating power. He's got it all. But then, he comes up against Rigondeaux, and he just looked so lackluster and simple in that fight that I can't put him any higher. I used to have him a lot higher than that, but I still think he's a great fighter. I just think he needs to rebuild from that loss. I'm not one of these fans that normally buys excuses, but I genuinely do think that for that fight he had distractions, and I don't think he took Rigondeaux as seriously as he should have done. I mean, that is his fault.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the same Nonito Donaire that we've seen in the past, and there's been talk about him weight drained and all the rest of it. We'll just have to see how he bounces back.
Yeah, okay. Paul, who's your number 7?
Saul Alvarez.
Saul Alvarez. Oh, so we've got 2 people agreeing. That's quite good. Do you want to add anything onto why?
For a while, I didn't like Saul Alvarez, to be honest. I thought he was just a big hype job, and that Golden Boy were getting carried away with him. But after they beat Austin Trout, you just can't ignore him anymore. He proved that he's not a hype job, that he's the real deal, that he's got great skills. Because I thought Austin Trout would beat him, and I personally felt Saul Alvarez won that fight, and he got clear. The world has got to sit up and take Saul Alvarez seriously now.
Yeah, I think that too. Okay, mine is actually Guillermo Rigondeaux. His record doesn't speak volumes. Only 12 wins, 8 of which by way of knockout. However, his high level of skill is what has got him to number 7 on my thing. He's come off his best career win, right? But I don't think he's ever going to get higher than number 7 on my pound-for-pound list, and I'll tell you why. He's a hard sell due to his style. Yeah, he's not exciting. He's just not. I don't see how he can move on better from Nonito Donaire, because who else is there to fight? He's not even cleaned out a division yet, and there's already no one left for him to fight without taking over, Nonito Donaire's leftovers.
He's gonna have to move up.
Well, that's gonna be, I mean, I guess so. So it's going to be real hard for him to get on my pound-for-pound list. I can only see him going down, plus his age. But he's a very skillful boxer. That's what I'm going to say. So, do you want to start with mine then? What you guys think of Guillermo Rigondeaux, number 7, Chris?
Yeah, I'd agree with absolutely everything you just said. He's such a hard sell. There's no denying the man's skills. All the way throughout his career, his boxing career, amateurs, absolutely brilliant professional. He just hasn't made my list because he's not entertaining enough, and I don't see where he can go.
Yeah, it is going to be a hard sell for him. Armando?
No, I don't even have Rigo in my top pound for pound. He has a great win over Donaire, but you have to do more than. I mean, he beat a pound for pound fighter, but his record prior to that, you got to get him a couple of more, solid, good opposition wins and maybe crack the top 10. So I don't think he should even be top 10 yet.
Okay. James?
No, I disagree. I think he should be higher.
Higher? Oh.
Yeah,
Higher than number 7?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't matter whether the guy's entertaining or not.
Yeah.
What matters is his achievements in the ring.
Yeah.
Which you could argue, well, he's only won a world title and then obviously fought one credible opponent in Donaire. But the way he dealt with Donaire when he was a massive he was an underdog.
Underdog.
A lot of the big questions about his chin. The vast majority of people were expecting Donaire to blow him out, and he handled him just amazingly well. And I genuinely cannot see at his weight of 122 who could beat him.
Yeah, I don't see anyone who can beat him at the weight either. I'm gonna agree with you there. Paul?
Yeah, it's hard to say something you don't know about a fighter you don't know much about. But what I will say is he's only had 12 fights, hasn't he? And only one real big win. So I don't really think that on its own, no matter how skillful he might be, I don't think that on its own is enough to get you into a top 10 if you're any fighter.
Okay.
My personal opinion.
That's okay. Chris, you picked Saul Alvarez, and so did Paul. So, Armando, what are your thoughts on Saul? Number 7 or higher? Or lower?
Not even the top 10 yet.
Oh,
just like Rigo, he's had one big win against Trout. He needs more. He's a big draw and all that. He's got the talent for it. It's just he needs to get some more wins to crack that top 10 for me at least.
Okay. Just a quick question. Before he fought Trout, did you consider Trout a top pound for pound fighter?
No.
No.
Me.
No. Okay. That's fine then. James, what are your thoughts on Saul?
No, I mean, impressive performance against Austin Trout, boxed on the back foot. But for me, that fight could have gone. It could have quite easily gone to Austin Trout. I thought it was an extremely close fight. And I think beyond Austin Trout, he's essentially fought blowing up junior and junior welterweights and welterweights. He needs to prove a lot more to me. And because the other problem I have is the fact that he's clearly got stamina issues.
Yeah.
And if he comes up against a guy who can come anywhere close to sort of matching his power, and has got an engine and is accurate, I could easily see him getting outboxed and beaten. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's the possibility. I'm gonna lie, I think that he has proved he is number 1 in the division. I'm gonna point that out. So I would stretch to him being number 10. I don't think he would. He's not on mine. He wouldn't make any higher than that. But we'll see. We'll see in a year. But okay, guys, we're gonna move on to. Or are we? Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Number 6.
James, who did you say?
Okay. Donaire.
I said Donaire.
You said Donaire.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to? Should we move on to number 6, or do you want to talk about Donaire?
Or if you want to just go through real quick, just say yes or no, higher or lower, so we can move faster.
Chris, higher or lower? Donaire.
Lower.
Lower. Armando, higher or lower?
Higher in the sense of lower in the number. I mean, he should be lower in the pound for pound in the higher sense. It's kind of weird, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, right, mate.
You should be more convoluted with that.
He should be just say he should be lower than 7.
What number should he be, Armando?
For me, I have him as number 6.
There you go. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. He should be higher, but in a lower sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Paul, what do you reckon, mate? Higher or lower?
Can't even say nothing.
Okay. We'll move on to number 6 then.
Okay.
So I've got Sergio Martinez. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being, obviously, he's lost. I would have had him higher if He didn't lose to Martin Murray, you know, but other than that, he did have a complete masterclass over Chavez Jr. Other than that, I've got to point out the time he's running out. You know, he's susceptible to injuries. People are figuring out his style. He's getting a bit too close to the age of 40. So, you know, he's not going to make it any further up from number 6 on my pound for pound list unless he does something amazing. So number 6 for me, but I can understand if you guys want to put me down a bit on this one. Moving on, Chris, who have you got for number 6?
Carl Froch at number 6.
Carl Froch at number 6.
I mean, this guy's beaten almost everyone. Might take Ward away, but if you look at the Kessler fight, if that was somewhere else other than Denmark, he could have been given a decision. He's fought top guys throughout his career like McGee, Pascal, Taylor, Abraham. I mean, he upset Boutte when he was an outsider in that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, Boutte at one point was supposedly ranked above Ward.
Yep. That was what he was, yep. Okay, Armando, who have you got number 6?
Number 6 is Donaire.
Donaire.
Yeah.
Donaire is getting up and down these rankings.
He was number 4, but the Rigo loss booted him back to number 6. And, you know, fighting all the title holders, you know, Matabula, you know, he beat Arce, Nishioka, and all that. So just based on the history, he's beaten a lot of guys. So, yeah.
Fought some great guys. James?
What number was that?
Six.
Number 6. Can't count. Abner Mares.
Abner Mares, yeah.
You know, this guy is essentially a mini Carl Froch. He's been on an unbelievable run. Like he's fought top opposition. You know, Perez, Darchinian, Moreno, Agbeco, Ponce de Leon, and he's won titles in more than one weight class. You know, which is obviously something that's got to go into consideration in the pound for pound list. And I was massively impressed with his performance against De Leon because he started to show his boxing skills again. You know, obviously the last few fights he's been seen as a bit of a brawler, and a lot of people sort of said he'd be made to order for Donaire, but I'm not so sure. I think he's shown against De Leon that he can be cute in there. I knew that before, but you know he showed that he's very adaptable, depending on his opposition. So I highly rate him.
Okay. Paul? Manny Pacquiao, number 6. Manny Pacquiao. That's the highest up to now, I think, actually, yeah. So, okay, we'll start with mine, who was Sergio Martinez. Do you guys think it should be higher or lower? Chris?
Slightly higher.
Armando?
A little bit higher.
James?
Who's that, sorry?
Sergio Martinez, higher or lower?
Why, I don't even have him in my top 10.
Oof.
Oh man, that's harsh. But that's fine. Damn.
Don't pull the punches there, James.
So,
Paul.
I mean, I think his... Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, go on, if you want to continue.
I just think his... it's not that I've got anything personal against him, I just think since he's come back from that knee surgery...
he's done.
he's done. Like, I mean...
Wow,
he got out... I mean, look, if he has 12 months off, and he comes back, he might have a couple more fights at most left in him, but he got outboxed, he got beaten up by Martin Murray, and I like Martin Murray, but let's be honest, he's nowhere near...
Yeah, he's not even
so
proved
why
that he's number 1 domestically.
Why should he be anywhere near in the top 10?
Yep.
And also, his last win is against Chavez, and and he's definitely nowhere near pound for pound. The only thing he has going for him is he's got good body work, and he weighs about 250 pounds on fight night. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Paul, what you say, mate? Higher or lower for Sergio Martinez?
Lower. He was my number 8, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I think I agree that he's done as well. He's got nothing left.
To be honest,
for all the money fight, he had a lot of solid wins, and I think those solid wins are enough to keep him in the top 10.
I don't like telling people they're done, but I wouldn't tell him to come back. Yeah. Okay, Chris, who did you say again, mate?
Froch.
Froch, higher or lower? Armando?
Well, I had him as my number 9 pick.
Oh, so lower. James, higher or lower? Froch.
Higher.
Higher. Ooh. Chris, Paul, sorry, higher or lower? Froch.
Lower. I had him at number 10.
Lower. I'm going to say higher. Higher. Okay, so move... no, we're not. James, who did you have? Oh, wait, there. No, Armando, who did you have?
Well, I had Donaire.
Don't, we've all got lower for that, I think. James, who did you have?
What as number number 6?
Yeah.
Abner Mares.
Abner Mares, yeah. It's hard to keep track of this because there's so many people. Higher
I'm
or
keeping track of it. So
Go in order.
yeah, higher or lower, not James. Higher or lower, Chris?
Higher, mate. Definitely higher.
Armando.
definitely higher.
And Paul?
Mares.
Yeah.
Can't. Feels soft. I don't want to keep saying that now, but I don't really watch much boxing below lightweight, to be honest. It's something I'm going to have to start doing because I'm feeling stupid now. And you guys are saying there's a lot of great fighters there, so I'm going to start it.
We'll start sending you some good videos to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put my finger out and start watching some of these ones. They all sound great.
Yeah, what I was going to say, yeah, I didn't actually put him in my top 10, but I really wish I should have. He's one of the guys who I should have put at the bitch end, in my opinion. But I think he's definitely on his way up. He could definitely. I think he'll break the top 10 for me next time. There's a lot of guys who are going to break the top 10 as well for me. Because if you look at the pound for pound list, everyone's pretty much 30 odd plus. So we're going to go back to number 5. I'll start with mine, and I've actually got Carl Froch. Right, and the reason I've put him at number 5 is because no one has had a better run-in than Carl Froch in terms of opposition he's fought. You know, he's been counted out against Abraham, Kessler, he's been counted out against Butte and Andre Ward, and you know he's been competitive with all except Andre Ward. But even the scorecards on that were close. So, you know, this guy's top fighter. You know, not the most brilliant in terms of skill, but he's never ducked a fight. He's been the most competitive fights, and I think he deserves to be rewarded for that. So I've shoved him halfway up, but I don't think he's going to get any higher than that. He won't get any higher than number 5 on mine. Chris, what's yours?
I've got Sergio Martinez at number 5.
Okay.
I know he's a fading force, but I mean you can't get away from the guy's record. I mean he was robbed against Cintron in a draw, then he got robbed by Williams, but you avenged that by KOing him. If it's beat Pavlik, he's beat fringe contenders like Barker, Macklin, and then he give Chavez Jr. an absolute lesson. I do think that Golovkin would stop him at this stage in his career, but on what he's done, it's harsh to have him any lower in my opinion.
Armando, what about you?
My number 5 pick is Abner Mares.
Abner Mares. Do you want to say why?
Yeah. Well, Abner Mares, you know, Yanni Perez got a draw. He beat Vic. He beat, I think he fought Eric Morel. He beat Egbeko, even though it's kind of crappy how he won.
Yeah.
And then he fought, you know, Daniel Ponce de Leon. He moved up, you know, and he took care of Daniel Ponce de Leon. So he normally was my number 8, but with that Daniel Ponce de Leon moving up in a division and beating a veteran like Daniel, I gave him the number 5.
Yeah. James, what do you reckon? Number 5.
I'm going with our main man, Carl Froch.
Yep.
I just love the guy. He's what every boxer should aspire to be in terms of the opposition he faces. I mean, obviously a lot of it's to do with the fact that he entered the Super 6, and you could say, well, you know, he wasn't allowed to dodge fights, but this guy has fought everybody there is to fight in his division.
Yeah.
You know, and also, you know, he came up short against Andre Ward, but Andre Ward is a true pound for pound fighter.
And he's not. And I just want to point out, just to help you here, James, right? He's not afraid of fighting away. He's travelled here, there, and everywhere to fight.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I agree with that as well. And you know, you've got to give the guy. You got home advantage, but you have got to give the guy huge respect for having a devastating defeat. Which, when I say devastating, I don't mean by knockout, but I think for his ego, because he does have an ego, he was absolutely devastated to lose in the manner that he did against Andre Ward, because I think he did freeze a little bit on the night. But to then fight Lucien Butte, who a lot of people at the time, you know, not me, but a lot of people at the time were saying that Lucien Butte could potentially be a match for and even beat Andre Ward. He went and fought him in his next fight, and he absolutely demolished him. Now, I know that he'd already pretty much been knocked out by Andrade, you know, and it was all very dodgy. how he managed to get out of the 12 rounds.
Yeah.
But Bute, there's no doubt about it. He's a very skillful boxer.
And he came back and broke Andre's rib. Andre's rib, didn't he? So.
Yeah. So
Busted his guts up.
he was, apart from Andre Ward, Lucien Bute was the beast in the division. He was the guy to beat. Carl Froch, he got home advantage for once in his life. He absolutely demolished him, and I think he'll get the better of Kessler in the rematch. And I think there's a lot of boxers in this list for me that haven't fought everybody out there, that hasn't fought everybody in their division. Yet they get more plaudits than Carl Froch. I mean, yeah, Carl Froch has maybe been beaten by tricky boxers, but at least he's fought them. At least he's fought guys that he could actually get beaten by.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of guys on the list don't.
Exactly.
They don't want to risk their record.
And that's why he's so high up on mine too. Paul, who would you like to say is number 5?
Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins. That's interesting. Would you like to go into it?
Yeah. Bernard Hopkins, in my opinion, he's a freak of nature, isn't he?
Yep.
At the age the guy's at, the fact that he's still fighting, let alone the fact that he's still fighting at elite level, it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, he is the Grandmaster.
He is, yeah. Over the last few years, how many young fighters has he fought and schooled and absolutely, not just beat them, he's absolutely embarrassed them.
Yep.
He made them look garbage. He took Taboris Crowd his last fight, young champion who was a lot younger than him, and he took him to school. Look at his other fights. School Pascal twice, in my opinion, another one. A very, very young champion who a lot of people thought was great. Completely outboxed him. Kelly Pavlik was at the peak of it, was still well thought of. I think he ruined Kelly Pavlik as a fighter.
Yeah.
Personally. Fought Calzaghe as well. Didn't get the win on the night, but he made Joe Calzaghe look absolutely awful. It's another one. I think the only fight Bernard Hopkins in the last 4 or 5 years has lost is Chad Dawson. And even that wasn't a clear loss in my opinion. It was just a bad fight that Dawson got the better of. So Bernard Hopkins, in my opinion, is definitely still one of the best fighters out there.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. He hasn't made my top 10, but I can respect you for putting him there, and I can see why you have. We're going to start with mine and James's pick. Chris, what do you think about Carl Froch, higher or lower, or just right?
Yeah, I'm happy anywhere around that point. 5, 6, 7 for Froch. The guy's a legend. You've got to give it to him. He does not dodge fuck all.
Yeah, that's brilliant. He doesn't mind taking it on the chin either. Armando.
You need to get on ringside, Chris.
Yeah, forget you on ringside. Armando.
For Froch?
Yeah, Froch.
I had him at 9, so obviously
lower.
lower, yeah.
Americans. James, you were with me. So, Paul, what do you reckon? Carl Froch, higher or lower? Or are you happy with 5?
No, I'd have him a bit lower than that, but that's absolutely not a knock on Carl Froch. I agree. I think Carl Froch is the done, isn't he?
Yeah.
He really is the man's man of boxing.
If everyone fought with the same mentality as Carl Froch, boxing would be the greatest sport in the world, and it would not be. It would be undisputed.
The only reason I've got him lower, is not because he's not good enough. I just think there's other fighters who you could put above him, but it's absolutely not a knock on Carl Froch.
Okay.
So, I think he's good.
Okay, moving on to the other guys who you all picked. Paul did pick Bernard Hopkins. James, what are your thoughts on that? Higher, lower, or what do you think?
I think that's a really interesting pick. I mean, I had him sort of in my considerations, but the reason why he didn't make it was because he lost to Chad Dawson. Now, if he beat Chad Dawson, he would be in my top 10, but by the logic of if Bernard Hopkins gets in the top 10, Chad Dawson would have to get in the top 10 as well, and I couldn't have them both in there. So no, I think that's a good pick. I mean, he in terms of legacy and achievements, he's fought everybody out there. He's ruined a lot of the younger fighters like Pavlik, obviously, even though he had the weight, even though Pavlik had to gain 12 pounds or something to go up and fight him.
Yeah.
But he schools people in the ring. He gives people a boxing lesson in the ring. But my problem is, at this moment in time, I think if he goes in against a guy who's got very sound skills, who's got the youth on him, who doesn't get phased by him, and can throw in, say, high volume as well, I think he's going to get beaten. Whereas, like, if he fights power punchers like Tavoris Cloud, I think he's going to school them all day long. I think, to be honest, that's why he's trying to call out Carl Froch, because I think he's underrating Froch. I think he thinks, I'll be able to give him a boxing lesson. I'm not so sure on that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, Armando, what are your thoughts on Hopkins, higher or lower?
I just think it was a pick that was right out of left field, Paul. I didn't even think of that, but now that I thought about it, I think he'd be between 11 and 15. If we were to make a 20, top 20 or top 15.
And we'll be here all night, so we're not doing that.
yeah, I know, but that was a good pick though, Paul. It was interesting. It was a
very good pick. Yeah, definitely interesting. I'll do credit you for that. Sorry, Chris.
No, it don't make my list, but it's a big shout. I mean, the guy is an old man in boxing terms. The fact he's still boxing is brilliant. The fact he's still boxing at the top's brilliant. His style...
And the fact that he's winning too is even better.
Yeah, that's my point. I know he lost to Dawson, but again, Dawson fight's the only fight of the last couple of years where, it's not gone for him. Every other fight he's embarrassed his opponent.
Yeah, okay. Shall we move on to the next one? Or who else did you pick, Armando?
I picked... No. I picked, for what, number 5?
Number 5, yeah, number 5.
No, I picked Modest.
Modest. We went through that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Modest.
We can move on. Let's
move on to number 4. This is where it gets really interesting. Okay?
Yes.
I'll start with myself. And I've got Juan Manuel Marquez. Right? Now, this guy is a top fighter. Now, I think his skill level is still up there. I think he is also a grandmaster of boxing. You see, what I like about him is he's not scared of using different things. He uses different tactics to each fight. He's not afraid to fight on the back foot. He's not afraid to fight on the front foot. He brings in new techniques, like the new strength and conditioning coaches. He's brought them in. He's not afraid to. Like a lot of people are, they're like, oh, we don't want to do that. Oh, fuck that. Let's not be doing none of that. But he's like, yeah, we'll bring them in. We'll make it work. He's still learning fight to fight. And now he's just acquired some knockout power at this higher weight that he didn't have last time he fought here. So I like him, right? The only thing is he can move up my pound for pound list even more if he wins his next fight and make number 3 in my opinion. But if he loses Timothy Bradley, he will drop significantly down my list, I promise you that. And Bradley will break the top 10. So that's what I'm going to point out. So it all depends for Marquez on his next fight right now, for me. But Marquez number 4. So I'm going to move on to Chris. Who have you got number 4, pal?
Yeah, I've got Abner Mares.
Mares.
This guy's record's incredible. I mean, it's littered with former champions, guys who are ranked at the top. I mean, he's fought everybody going. The fight with Eric Morel, I mean, an incredible fight. It showed that he could change tactic, that he wasn't just someone who walked forward. He did do a lot of walking forward in that fight, but he dropped him. He comprehensively beat him. I mean, this guy was a big fish. Mares is seriously underrated in my opinion.
Yeah, I like him. I think
and the win over Moreno was a very big win for him too, because Eric Moreno was and Salmo Moreno was a really good tactical fighter, and he took care of him he took care of him pretty easily, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought so too, with ease. Yeah. Armando, who have you got, pal? Number 4.
For number 4, Sergio Martinez is my number 4 pick. We've already talked about him. He actually was my number 3 pick, but the Martin Murray dropped him to number 4. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. James, what are you saying, pal? Number 4.
Might be a little bit controversial, but Rigondeaux.
Whoa, that's the highest Rigondeaux's got today.
Yeah.
Mind you, Armando, you can't talk. That's the highest Sergio Martinez has got today. Yeah,
but Martinez is more accomplished than Rigondeaux. I can tell you that.
Only as a professional, not as an amateur.
Well, okay.
Go on, James. Why have you got him so high? I'm interested.
Well, look, I mean, I was always going to have Froch 5th, and it was between Mares and Rigondeaux, who got 4 and 6, and I decided to go with Rigondeaux because the way I thought about it was if Mares and Rigondeaux were both at 122, I mean, Mares might go back down and he said he might go down for that fight. Whether it happens or not is another issue. But if they fought, I just think Rigondeaux is that skillful that he would handle him. You know, that's all I can really say on the matter. I mean, obviously his resume isn't as impressive as Abner Mares is, but you know, like everybody said, he's a tough sell. You know, he managed to get the Donaire fight, but he nearly didn't get that fight. Donaire didn't want that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So and also Mares, as highly as I do rate him, you know, I had the guy at number 6. He's also had some very questionable officiating that's gone in his favour. You know, against Agbeko, and other fights as well. Even Moreno, there was low blows in there, and he never seems to get pulled up on it. I'm not saying that means he wouldn't win the fights, but I just think that, you know, Rigondeaux, he really is a master boxer. He really is.
Okay, brilliant. Paul, what are your thoughts on number 4? Pound for pound.
This is going to be really controversial as well, but I'd have Vladimir Klitschko.
Oh,
Vladimir.
that's not that. Don't worry, Paul. Don't worry.
We've said it a million times, haven't we? I know he fights crap opposition, but every time, but he's fought some good opposition knitted in there as well. Only 1 or 2, like David Hay, and against David Hay, for me, he proved that although he fights crap opposition, he's still the best there is a heavyweight by a mile. Because broken tongue or not, David Hay couldn't get near him, couldn't land anything on him. In my opinion, he embarrassed David Hay that night. I know he didn't knock him out, but he would have knocked David Hay out if David Hay comes to fight, which he didn't do. And you've got to remember, he's also got a couple of good wins in there as well. He beat Tony Thompson, when Tony Thompson a few years ago was still a good fighter. He beat Tony Thompson 6 months or so before Thompson knocked out David Price. And before David Price was knocked out, everyone was saying he was the bee's knees. I think he was prospect of the year.
Yep.
So to beat the guy who's just beat prospect of the year, you can't be a mug, can you? I know he's got a lot of crap wins, and we'd love to see him fight people who are better. But at the end of the day, you just can't deny that the fact that fella's just unbeatable, in my opinion. I don't think anyone heavyweight could beat him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So, moving on from there, what do you think about my Marquez pick, Chris? Higher or lower, or fine?
It's fine where it is. Personally, I'd have him slightly higher.
Okay. Armando, higher or lower or fine?
Slightly higher.
James, higher, lower or fine?
Higher for me.
Paul, higher, lower or okay?
It's okay, but I have him slightly higher personally.
Okay.
I've got no problem with him beating.
No problem. Vladimir Klitschko, Chris, higher, lower or fine?
Not even on page, mate.
Oh. Armando, higher, lower or fine?
I'm sorry, he's not in the top 10. I'm sorry.
Okay. James, higher, lower or okay?
I mean, I had him lower. I can understand why people have him higher than that, because he's been so dominant in his division, but for me it comes down to the same old, his opposition. Mm-hmm. You know, also a little bit, he is a bit robotic in there, but, you know, no, I mean, fair enough.
Fair enough. And, I think it's... I'm gonna be controversial. He can go 1 higher. I'm not gonna lie, he can go 1 higher. Chris, who'd you do, say, pal?
Mares.
Do you think Mares deserves to be so high? Armando?
I had him as my number 5 pick, so it's okay, I guess.
Okay.
It's my 5 pick, though.
James, higher, lower, or okay for Abner Mares?
You know, I'd have him lower than that. Obviously, I've got him lower than that in my list, but no, again, you know, that he there's a lot to admire about Mares, and maybe on another day I might have put Mares at number 4 and Rigondeaux at number 6. You know,
I see that. Yeah, I can see that he could get higher on the list. Paul, higher, lower, or okay?
Anyone who said if he really is a miniature Carl Froch, like everyone's saying, he's got that sort of warrior attitude, then I can absolutely understand why he's in the top 10.
Yeah.
To be honest, I just can't pick a number 4.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he deserves to be that high right now. I want to see him fight a few more. I'm going to see by the end of this year. I think he'll be right there and about number 5. I think for me, but not number 4. Well, we'll move on. Or just anyone else? Who else did I?
Rigondeaux.
Rigondeaux. Higher, lower. Chris, Rigondeaux, higher or lower?
Definitely lower.
Definitely.
It's too much of an hard sell. I do respect the guy's skills. I get that, but it needs to be lower in my opinion.
Lower. Okay, Armando, higher or lower, Rigondeaux?
He's not even in the top 10. I don't know how he can have him over Froch, Modest, and Donaire. He's got one big win over Donaire, but I don't know how he can have him over Froch and Modest. Only on one big win.
Well, yeah.
So I think he wouldn't be top 10 in for me, in my opinion.
Okie doke. Paul, higher or lower? You say lower?
Yeah.
Lower. Okie doke.
Can I sort of just answer that just quickly back?
Okay, be quick though, James.
Well, firstly, Donaire, until April, was Fighter of the Year last year, and in most people's pound for pound, he was around about number 3 or number 4. Rigondeaux basically pitched a shutout against him. Now, it might be his only big win, but that to me is massively impressive when he hasn't been seasoned in the pro ranks. He's fought relatively, low-end competition. And what I looked at there was just purely on his skill level. I truly think his skill level is supreme. That's why.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, no doubt. But
Okay.
just because he beat Donaire doesn't mean that he gets credit for all of Donaire's wins. Because
Exactly,
he still has
yeah.
to fight him. So that's just my opinion.
That's fair, yeah.
Okay, doke, let's move on, okay, to number 3. My number 3, this is going to be controversial to you guys. I can at least 2 of you guys, okay?
It better not be Marco Huck now. Come on.
No fuckage today, I'm telling you. But,
Okay, all right.
But we
ahead.
got Vladimir Klitschko coming in at
okay.
number 3, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. And I'll tell you both why right now. Right now, his skill level is leaps and bounds above everyone else in the division. You can't deny that. You can basically take any heavyweight name out there, right, and you can put it with Vladimir, and there's only going to be one winner each time. Vladimir.
Yeah.
No one's going to beat him in this division.
I do.
I can guarantee you that. No one will beat him. David Haye didn't beat him. All the people, if you don't think David Haye is going to beat these other clowns, you know what I mean, then that's fine. But, Klitschko's going to beat a lot of these people in the division, if not all of them. Obviously, he won't fight his brother, but we can't have everything in life, unfortunately. But this guy's also, he's breaking all the records. He's pretty much got all the belts, like I said, he's breaking records that, former all-time greats and pound-for-pound heavyweights held. So he's got to be up there himself, really, now, hasn't he? Even if the opposition isn't brilliant. But let's be honest, let's look at some of the other guys who are on the list, and have they been fighting the creme de la creme of opposition? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think some of them have. I mean, let's look at Floyd Mayweather, who's probably going to be at least number 1 or number 2 for a few people, yeah? He's not been fighting guys of his quality, of his own quality, has he? Neither's Vladimir Klitschko, so I can't knock Floyd Mayweather and knock Vladimir Klitschko for the same thing. Have you got both knocked him for the same thing, or both give him a pass for the same thing? And that's what I've done. I've given Vladimir Klitschko a pass on the opposition and just looked at the fact that he's winning, knocking guys out, breaking records, holding all the belts.
But Vladimir, while you may not, you compare Floyd and Vladimir isn't fighting guys who are coming off big wins. Floyd fought Robert Gurra that beat Berto and ID for whatever it's worth. He beat Ortiz that beat Berto. He's beat Marquez. So the thing is Vladimir doesn't have somebody to test him. That's why, for me, he doesn't make top 10.
For me, though, the thing about Vladimir is he's so easy to dislike, isn't he? And for that reason, a lot of people kind of don't give him the respect that I think he deserves.
Yeah,
like him or hate him, you've got to respect him.
You've got to respect his skill, that's the
Oh,
point.
big time. It's just there's nothing out there for him. Either he's too fucking good, or just the fucking opposition isn't ready for him. These new up and coming heavyweights.
Well, the thing is, I think he is too good. I'm not gonna lie, he's too good. He's learned his lessons. He's took his licks, and he's come back stronger. Even if he's boring, he's come back with a game plan on how to keep winning each fight, knocking his opponents out, and it works.
Yeah, David Haye is the number 2 or the number 3 in heavyweight division, isn't he?
What?
David Haye is.
Who was that then?
Yeah, Mark, I was just wondering though, you say his skill is far and away better than everybody else's, but how much of his skill is actually based on size? Because I think in terms of fundamentals, fundamental boxing skill, I'm not convinced that he is this supremely skilled guy. I think if him and David Haye were the same size in the same way, I think David Haye would beat Vladimir Klitschko. That's not. I mean, obviously, I've had Vladimir in my top 10. But just to ask you on that one.
Well, if your auntie had bollocks, she'll be your uncle. That's it's not relevant because there is a size difference. But he has got good footwork. He's shown his great footwork with David Haye, where he could get his shots off. And but when he saw David Haye's hand move, he was able to get away. If he wasn't skillful, he wouldn't be able to get out the way.
How often does he get hit? He rarely gets hit.
He didn't get hit that much.
He rarely gets hit.
I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he is obviously a skillful boxer, because if I didn't think he was skillful, I wouldn't have him in my top 10.
I think he's. But the reason I've put him so highly is because he is leaps and bounds better than everyone else around him. Even if you take the cruiserweights, right? The cruiserweights who can move up, he still leaps and bounds better than them. Now, if you think it's because he's bigger than them, that might be the case. But there are guys there who are just as big as him. Tony
Look
Thompson,
at Steve Cunningham.
Yes,
Steve Cunningham just knocked Tyson on his ass, So I mean, size it does matter, but in a way it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird,
Yeah,
So
I think size for Vladimir matters a lot, but that's not to say I don't.
And that's what his girlfriend said too.
That's what Hayden says, yeah. Hayden would say.
Because the thing is, say somebody like David Haye. If David Haye, skill wise, I think he could be potentially going into a pound for pound list, because he's an extremely good boxer. But on the night, whether you listen to the toe incident or not, he was up against a guy that was just so much bigger than him, but also was skillful as well. I'm not sure you could sort of say he was supremely skilled compared to David Haye. I'm not sure if you could say that. I think a lot of it was about him leaning on Haye. Being able to get out of the way, but let's not forget he had 30-40 pound weight advantage.
Well, I was saying it before, wasn't I? The point about Klitschko is he's number one in the division by a country mile, and David Haye, broken toe or not, I think if David Haye fought him again, David Haye would get beat comprehensively again. To be honest, how many number one fighters could you say would beat their number two fighter?
I mean, who's number 3 in the division now? Pulev. Do you think he's going to beat him?
No.
I rate Pulev, but I don't think he's going to beat him.
Vladimir Klitschko is like that, Marmite. You either like him or you don't.
Yeah. I don't like him personally, but I respect him. I think he's a great fighter.
I can't stand the man. I think he's boring, and I think that I think he's boring. But I can't deny that he's one of the top 3 fighters in the world today.
I can hate him.
Mayweather gained 40 pounds and went up and fought Nathan Cleverly. Nathan Cleverly would smash him to bits.
The funny thing is, James, there are definitely people out there who will hear that and actually disagree with you as well. Not me personally, but I guarantee there's people right now thinking,
If what?
The man, he whoop everyone's ass.
I like Floyd, but
you see, pound for pound is like, if you take everything else away, size, everything, could they compete with anyone, anytime, in any different weight limit? Different things like that. Klitschko could compete with anyone. I guarantee it. He could compete with anyone.
You think if you took his size factor away, you think he'd compete with anybody in boxing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he was 6'3", I think he would still be possibly where he's at still, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he'd be the unified champion. I think he could be well.
Yeah, like I say, I think he's, because the whole idea of pound for pound is that weight doesn't matter. So weight, you take weight out of the equation. So that's why I've got him between my 5 to 10. But that personally, there's a difference between. I've got him lower end of my top 10 for a reason, because I do think his size does help supplement his very good skill level, but it definitely helps supplement it for me.
True, yeah, but at the same time, some people's lack of size.
Price, look at Price. Look at Price.
His size
Price
is
help,
yeah.
Yeah, his Price is equally as big as Vladimir. It's just Vladimir's skill level is just leaps and bounds above. Nobody right now, anybody who can test him now, I personally think Vladimir can continue for another 5 years and dominate.
Yeah.
With ease.
Dominate against mediocre competition, you know.
No, but
yeah.
no, it won't be dominate against media. It's dominate against the competition that's there. If they're great or they're bad, doesn't matter. Do you think people are thinking now Deontay Wilder is the next big thing and he's going to destroy the Klitschko's? He'll get destroyed himself.
Yeah, but is Pianeta one of the best heavyweights out? He's not even a top 10 heavyweight.
He's not a top 10 heavyweight, but
Vorbeck a top 10 heavyweight?
of course he's
Absolutely not.
But once I said, I'm not saying all the opposition are brilliant, but David Hayes in the top so many, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is.
What about what was his name? Not Abramovich.
Magomed Abdullah.
No. Shit.
Which heavyweight?
Ibrahimov. There you go.
Tamir?
Yeah.
Tamir?
No.
Ibrahimov?
Sultan Ibrahimov.
Sultan. Oh, Sultan
when he
Ibrahimov.
done the unification with him, he beat him, and he was a solid heavyweight.
Yeah.
What's that guy's called? Chagayev as well.
Chagayev took him in his prime.
He was
Yeah.
world champion as well, and he beat him.
Yeah. He dropped not Usmanov. He dropped the guy David Valuev. He actually knocked him down.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
you know,
we spent ages talking about him now.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best out there.
okay.
He's
well,
one of the best boxers out there.
You can sum it up now, Paul. James, you can have the last word. What's the last word? Go on.
No, I think to be fair, you know, that it all comes down to subjective opinions on somebody like as controversial as Vladimir. But for me, he's 5 to 10 in pound for pound. I struggle to see how he's 1 to 5 because you know I think his size does play a factor, and you know that's not what pound for pound is about for me.
Okay. Moving on. Do you want to talk about anyone else's picks? Who else did?
Well, yeah, we're still at number 3.
Oh, no one else has gone through this yet.
No, not yet, not
Oh
yet.
my God! They just talk about 20 minutes on Vladimir.
Vladimir Klitschko debate this is.
Yeah, the Vladimir Klitschko debate. Okay, Chris, who do you think's number 3 in the Vladimir Klitschko category?
I've got Juan Manuel Marquez. I mean, this guy's had a glorious career. He's always fought top guys. He finally got better at judges with Manny Pacquiao and knocked him out. And even if you look at him now, he could go back to Manny, get a bigger payday. But he's gone to Timothy Bradley. It's a justifiable fight. It's a good fight. I have loads of time for Marquez.
That's a good one. Armando.
Same thing with me. I got Marquez number 3. Prior to that, he was probably a number 7 pick. But destroying a top 3 pound for pound fighter the way he did was it just drove him leaps and bounds. Yeah, he lost to Floyd very clearly, but even his record, his resume, you know, is just very great. So he's my number 3 pick.
James.
Number 3, Marquez. You know, he beat Pacquiao the 3rd time. I thought didn't get the decision. Obviously knocked him out devastatingly. In the 4th fight, and as you were saying earlier on about Marquez, or somebody, I think it was you, Mark, he changes game plans according to the fighter he's facing, and there's not a lot of boxers out there that can do that. Yeah. And in the 4th fight against Pacquiao, he changed the game plan, and he tried to turn himself into a bit of a slugger to focus on landing the big right hand that Pacquiao essentially walks into. And even though it sounds simple, there's obviously not a lot of boxers that can adjust and adjust their body and also their boxing skills to do those sorts of things in the ring. And on top of that, he's gone through multiple different weight divisions. He's fought pretty much everybody out there. You know, there's one blot on his page. There's a few blots on his page, say Floyd, Chris John, but the Floyd fight, he jumped up 2 weight classes. And Floyd also didn't come in on the contracted weight for that fight, and it was the first time Marquez had ever fought at welterweight. So it could be a slightly different fight now. I'm not sure it'd be a massively different fight, but I don't think it was a fair sort of crack of the whip for Marquez the first time around against Floyd.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that. Paul, what do you reckon for number 3?
Marquez as well.
Damn! Everybody picked Marquez but Mark.
Yeah, no, Marquez is another grand master, isn't he?
Yeah.
I've got loads and loads of time and loads of respect for Marquez.
I think everyone does, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many other fighters who would have just retired after what happened against Pacquiao the third time, wasn't it? Because he was so down, he was so devastated. Could he have been blamed if he just thought, oh, you know what, forget this, I'm bowing out now? But no, he came back, and he had a point to prove, and he proved his point brilliantly. He's come up through the weights fine, apart from the one fight with Mayweather. And he's one of the smartest fighters in the sport, in my opinion. Apart from Floyd Mayweather, there's nobody at 147 I think can beat him. There's nobody at 140 I think can beat him if he fought there. And even if he found a way to get back down to 135, because that's where he spent the majority of his career, I think if he found a way to get back down to there, no one would beat him there either.
True.
I really do. I think
he is good.
Yeah,
Mark, can I ask a quick question? Everybody just say yes or no, okay?
Yeah.
Does Juan Manuel Marquez make it into the Boxing Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Absolutely yes.
Yes.
Yes, with a capital one.
James?
100%.
Chris?
Absolutely, mate. Definitely.
Paul?
Yes, with a capital yes. With a capital Y.
And then obviously Mark. Yeah, me too. I definitely think when it's all said and done, he should definitely be. He's more than worthy to be a Hall of Fame in all of our opinions. So I just
first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Oh yeah, definitely. He has such a decorated career that it's just ridiculous. Guys, he's also a scientist as well. So in my opinion, so
yeah, there's no point. Yeah, okay. There's no point going through. What we all think about that because it's pretty unanimous, except for me. So I'll just shut up. Number 2. We'll start with me. I've actually got Andre Ward as number 2 now. The reason being he has cleaned out the division of 168. He is leaps and bounds above the rest of the competition. Gold medalist, top skill. You know, he's probably going to be the best at 175 too. Except that he's disputed right now because he's not fought there as of yet. His main issues, and this is what's costing him, his number 1 spot is he's too inactive due to injuries, and I'm not even bothered about being exciting or nothing. That doesn't come into it. He's just too inactive. Right now, Chris, who have you got as number 2?
Yeah, this is the one I struggled with desperately. Floyd Mayweather's been my number 1 for a long time, but Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, goes to number 2 now. I mean, the guy, his last 4 fights for me just have not been good enough. He fought Shane Mosley, who he should have fought 10 years ago. He fought Guerrero, who's a nobody in my opinion. I mean, his refusal to fight Canelo, it does not help him. His actions outside the ring don't come into anything in my book. I'm not bothered what he does outside the ring, but he must fight proper guys inside the ring. His last big win that I consider big was Corrales.
Okay. Moving on, Armando.
Man, this is also I want to give it to Ward. I want to give it to Floyd for number 2, but I think I just pick Ward. But Chris makes a very great point. But my initial thought was Ward number 2, so he's my number 2 pick. But he can definitely be number 1. I mean, it can go either way. So, but it's my number 2 pick though.
Number 2 pick.
Yeah.
James?
My number 2, I agree with Chris. I've gone for Floyd Mayweather. Now, it's difficult because Floyd put on an unbelievable performance a couple of weeks ago. He put on a clinic against a guy in Robert Guerrero who I rate. You know, I think he's a good fighter. But you know, he made it look easy against Guerrero, and he showed his leg movement again, which obviously against Cotto he looked more flat-footed than he had in the past. But the problem I have with Floyd is, you know, in weight division in his earlier career, he did fight the beasts in the division. You know, he did clean out divisions. But you know, like Chris said, his biggest win, one of his biggest wins, in terms of real relevance, was Corrales, and even Corrales, he was weight drained when he fought Corrales. I'm not sort of trying to completely discredit his career because I've obviously got him as high as number 2, but when you get to those sort of 1 and 2 positions, you do have to start nitpicking a little bit. And I feel as though Floyd Mayweather had the potential to be number 1 100%, but he's let himself down with the opposition that he's fought. You know, he essentially missed out on the golden years of the welterweight division. He didn't fight Paul Williams. He didn't fight Margarito. I think he would have beaten those two guys, but he didn't fight them. He didn't fight Cotto in his prime. And obviously the big one that you have to do these things when you're at the top. He didn't fight Pacquiao, and I feel as though he doesn't have to handpick guys, but he values his O too much. He values the fact that he's unbeaten. It's his brand, and he won't compromise on it, and that's why he's number 2 for me.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. Paul, do you want to?
This was the hardest one by far, to be honest. I was oohing and ahhing over it.
Yeah.
As much as I want to put him number 1, I have to put Andre Ward number 2. Purely because I agree with what everyone said really. I agree with you when you say he's not fought often enough, but I agree with Chris when he says he's fought far better competition than Mayweather has of late. But again, it's just his injuries. In the past, 3 years, he's only fought 2 times, something like that.
Yeah.
Because of his injuries. That on its own just stops him just about from being number 1. But as soon as he comes back and he fights a good opponent, a top 5 opponent, then he's going straight to number 1, in my opinion. Because I'm glad the fight with Padlock didn't happen. Because now, hopefully he'll get himself a better fight. As soon as he comes back and gets healthy again, then he's going straight to number 1, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But for now, he's got to stay number 2. Why does he have to?
Okay, we won't go through because we all disagree on the fact that, it's pretty much 50-50 on this. Yeah. But, the only thing I'm going to say is we'll just move straight on to our number 1s. And the reason overall that I did put Floyd as number 1, personally, was that even though he is himself an inactive fighter, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt in the fact that he is contracted to take numerous fights in the next, 2 years. So he'll have ended up having more fights in 2 years than Andre Ward will have in, 3 or 4. So that's something to really think about. But other than that, Andre Ward is injured. I can't have an injured guy as number 1 in the world, personally. Because,
but can we have a guy in jail as number 1 either?
Well, he's not in jail now.
Well, yeah, but he was in jail. But
yeah,
even though it was a short amount of time, and then, but what's weird is sometimes I feel like with Floyd, people just unanimously just give it to him because he's so outspoken, and it's almost normal to give Floyd Mayweather. But Andre Ward, he has, beat everybody in his division. So yeah. I just think people are just accustomed to giving Floyd number 1 just to give it to him. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's not too much difference between them. I mean, I would actually say Floyd Mayweather's fought more, pound for pound competitors than Andre Ward has. However, that's not saying much because, I mean, let's look through the top 10. That's our top 10s right now. I don't think Floyd's fought anyone in the top 10 really. Oh, but just one, Marquez. And Andre Ward's only fought 1 too. So the difference isn't too great, is it? Really?
Yeah, but for me, Ward has fought. Like you say, firstly, Mayweather's been a professional boxer a lot longer than Floyd has.
Yeah.
And also his weight situation, the fact that he started off at 130 pounds, he's been able to move through the weights, so he's had a lot more competition, in terms of different opponents. He's had a wider range of opponents than Andre Ward, but Andre Ward is essentially he went into the Super 6.
Never even stood a chance.
Everybody said they didn't have him down to win. A lot of people didn't have him down to win. They thought he was too green. There was a few question marks over Andre Ward. He's fought everybody in the super middleweight division, and not only has he fought everybody in the super middleweight division, he's pretty much pitched shutouts against all of them. Then he fought Chad Dawson at, which annoyed me a little bit. He should have got up to 175 and just erased all doubt, but he made him come down to 168, which I didn't really like that. But he fought Chad Dawson, and obviously he stopped Chad Dawson. I feel as though Chad Dawson was a bit weight drained, but it was even then it was still a good win. But one quick thing on inactivity. Now, Chad Dawson fought twice in 2011, and he's fought once in 2012. So if you say the last time he fought was September, he still hasn't had 12 months since the last time he fought. Floyd Mayweather, regardless of the Showtime contract, he only fights once a year. So I think it's a little bit harsh to, have a knock at, Andre Ward when he is legitimately injured. And I think, he's quoted as saying, he wants to...
Yes, the reason that I've knocked him down into number 2 is because I just find it hard to have a guy who is, injured and not right now got a plan of a guy who's, exactly, not scheduled to fight anyone. You know what I mean? I just can't have him as number 1 when he's injured and not even scheduled to fight. It's just a cop out for me. But it's no, that's the wrong word to use. It's just not. It's not the right thing. I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, but it's fine if anyone else wants to. But overall, we'll end on this. Who do you think has got the more skill pound for pound? Just take away everything else. Take away weight limits, heights, weights, everything. Who is the more skillful fighter? Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward? Chris?
I'd go with Andre Ward. For sure. I mean, the guy, I know you say take weights out and all this, but he cleaned up his division. They were so well respected, the opposition.
Yeah, no, don't think about opposition.
I mean,
the most skillful
Andre Ward. I would say Andre Ward.
Okay, it's just the name of the fighter will do. Armando, Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward, pound for pound, skill.
Ward.
James?
I think it's a dead heat. I really do.
I've got to go into head to pick one.
Skill, I'd have to go with Floyd.
Paul?
Andre Ward by Augusta. Because whenever he fights his opponents, he barely runs round against them, do they?
Okay. I would have said Floyd, but it's 3-2. Andre Ward, number 1. That's what it should be anyway. But, okay, I hope you enjoyed listening to that. Thanks for listening, guys.